Hey, everyone in. Let's go. Huddle up on 3. 1, 2, 3. Huddle up.
You all know what you have to do. Remember, no one, and I mean no one, comes into our house and pushes us around. This is your game now, gentlemen.
Chris Davis takes it to the back of the end zone. He'll run it out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game. He ran the missed field goal back. He ran it back 109 yards. They're not going to keep him off the field tonight. Holy cow. Oh, my God. Auburn wins.
This could be a sentence that a month ago would sound incomprehensible. From 31 yards, McPherson and Cincinnati is heading to the Super Bowl.
He called it again, I'm sure. He walked up and he goes, "Can you believe, Coach? We're going to the Super Bowl."
And now, welcome everyone to the Huddle Up Podcast.
You are looking live.
Welcome, everyone. Huddle Up Podcast. We are live once again, Tuesday, January the 24th, 2023. We're glad to be back with you as we are inching so much closer to the end of live and in-season, in postseason NFL football, but we are going to do our best to make sense of it while it's still here, and then we will make sense of the offseason when we get there. But we are glad to have you again for another week. Make sure you are following us on social media at Huddle Up Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, on YouTube as well at Huddle Up Podcast. Make sure you get our merchandise over at tpublic.com. You can find the link to all of that stuff as well as all of our podcast feed. There you go. If you're watching us on the video, you can see Kyle doing the doing the modeling right there of the Student of the Game t-shirt that you can find
Shit on me. Woo!
over there on the T Public store. You can get all of those links and everything else Huddle Up related in the link tree on our Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube pages. So we appreciate your support each and every week. We got Matt, we got Kyle here. EJ will be, maybe, should be joining us at some point.
Allegedly.
And we
in the mix here. I don't see why he's missing.
I know, man. This is his time. But we will start with Student of the Game, Kyle Nash. How we doing this week, my friend?
Listen, honor, joy, and privilege. I give you. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to play with my throat being sore. And unlike Jaden, I will be the one that hurts.
Oh boy.
Ridiculous.
Please let the pod audience know that while Jim was at the soundboard, I was suddenly drinking my coffee.
There you go. And Matt, how we doing this week?
Doing very well. A solid football weekend in my household again. Wasn't displeased with any of the finishes, so I'm sure we will talk more about that moving forward. But
I mean,
a fun weekend overall.
Yours was the one game that wasn't competitive.
Mike gets the reference of my shirt, so appreciate that, Mike. Devin joining us as well. Hope you guys are doing well. A fucking 10. But hope you all are doing well. If you're following along with us live, give us a like and a share. We would certainly appreciate that. And let's, gentlemen, let's not dance around it. Let's jump right into it as we do each and every week. We look at three things from the weekend that was: the good, the bad, and the ugly. Matt, we will start with you this week. What was a good from this past weekend?
So for me, the good is going to be, I think, my comfort level when it comes to Jalen Hurts moving forward. I'm feeling good about the prospect of where he looked. Obviously, he didn't have to do too much. The score kind of got to the point where we could lean on the run game, and I think that was probably another good from that game in terms of not having to lean too much on someone that we're just bringing back from injury. So overall, the game was good, but I think that a lot of Eagles fans could breathe a sigh of relief when we saw him throw that first deep pass with some accuracy, welcome some contact on a few hits, and not be afraid to take off and run when he needs to, and still make the good decision to get out of bounds or slide when the opportunity for that was there. Because there was a lot of pressure from that Giants defense, right?
Hey, Matt, would you say that
Allegedly.
would you say that Sirianni took DeBoer by the horns? Thank you.
That was pretty good. I like that one. Yeah, I mean, because that was the big question, right, Matt? Like everybody, a lot of people were talking about last week was, okay, sure, he's full participant off the injury report, all of that, but like, is he really? Is he
right?
really?
I mean, what we
he
saw.
may not be hurt, but is he really? I mean, he's hurt, but he's not hurt.
Oh, Jesus.
That feels like kind of like a Kyle joke.
It was, you son of a bitch. No, you're late.
But there was the question there of is he really going to be back to form? We didn't see him have to do that in week 18, and with the week off, he just didn't know. But yeah, he certainly looked as good as can be this past weekend.
Yeah, no, comic relief aside, I would have made that my good too, but I knew that Matt would be all over it, and in the words of Joel Klatt, and rightly so. But
that's a good sounder. That's one.
What can I say except you're welcome? No, oh wait. What can I say except you're welcome? Now, and over and above that, like I did the Burrito Summit with my good friend Chris Pirtle, where we do all the NFL predictions. Bing! And for those who didn't see the video, like Jim is taking notes for the sounder he wants, turns over, hits the bing, and goes back to writing. That is what production. I mean, but at that point, I don't want to say I thought it was an easy win for the 49ers, but it certainly seemed smarter to pick the 49ers with as slow as the Eagles were playing and not knowing Jalen's situation. This dude comes out and goes full juggernaut, which I don't want too many Eagles fans to hear because the juggernaut's outfit is red if you've read the X-Men comics, or gray in the movies. But yeah, like not only would he have snowballs thrown at him, we don't need that, or batteries, but he still was like, yeah, exactly. He was still like, yeah, it's a juggernaut, bitch, knocking people over. And I mean, maybe Jalen Hurts is a bigger guy than I remember, but it was still a sight to behold. And Matt mentions his arm. This defense, absolutely brutal. I saw Mackenzie Milton tweet out, former UCF quarterback. Yeah, dude sacked me like 6 times when I played him. Like, damn, okay. So, you got people even flashing back, and that's just one element to that defensive front. They, of course, played great. Once Saquon Barkley, student of the game, MVP of the year, was negated, basically. Daniel.
Great, Bob.
Yeah, Daniel Dimes was let's just say less evidence toward the extension you Eagles fan and you Cowboys.
Look, all I'm going to say is, I obviously as a Cowboys fan, I hate the Eagles, but if the Eagles did enough to not have the Giants re-sign Danny Dimes, that hatred's going to go to a whole different level after this year.
I think Matt might hate himself a little bit.
I would be very upset if that's the case.
It's like you can win, but you don't have to ruin the Giants' terrible future. You know what I mean?
I'll also throw a good in for Lane Johnson coming back, probably at 70%, but a 70% Lane Johnson is better than a lot of right tackles that there are in the league. So I will take that. Certainly better than what we have at backup at this point. So I think the health and the way both of those guys played with the question marks surrounding them was probably the biggest sigh of relief for most Eagles fans watching.
Hey man, listen, as the fellow beef man here on the panel, how am I going to say no to that flawless logic?
Devin was at Monday Night Raw in Philly last night. He said he's good never hearing the crowd spell Eagles again for the. I'm sure that was
Sure, you were confused because you didn't know how to spell it in the first place, Devin.
Oh, wow.
Tagovailoa is a lot harder to spell.
That is a disgusting
I mean,
act.
as a Dolphins fan, he's probably used to the Jets, so I get it. He's tired of it.
Wow.
That is
Another
a
one.
disgusting act.
Hey, Eddie, you want to know what a disgusting act was? Drafting Zach Wilson. Okay, next.
He ain't lying.
Kyle, what was your good from this past weekend?
I will somehow hijack from that game. However, the Giants are my good. Yeah, that's right. I said it. The Giants are my good. Exactly. You should be confused, but hear me out. The fact that they came out and performed the public service of showing how fraudulent the NFC North was throughout the entire regular season is a thing we needed to see. The fact that what happened to the Giants, forget about EJ doesn't get dunked on, which is appropriate because him not getting dunked on as much as the team he's not a fan of, we don't want any symmetry there at all because they're not fans of one another. But the Lions might be the one bright spot of the NFC North. I will grant them that. But the Giants getting walloped like they did by the Eagles is just proof that the Vikings had no business in the postseason, no business being a 13-win team, and yet somehow here we are. This is the way it happens sometimes. I had said on Earnestly Speaking, the Earnestly Speaking podcast in the Student of the Game report that this might be the most overrated team since the Chicago Bears that made it to the Super Bowl with Lovie Smith and Rex Grossman at quarterback.
Shit. Okay. Yeah. I almost want to apologize for all the times I went to bat for the Vikings in power ranking segments throughout this year because
I do have a
holy
few
crap.
coupons I'd like to collect on.
Because yeah, I'm listening to and then watching bits of this debacle that was the Giants' attempt at playing in a divisional round game, and I'm going, how bad are the fucking Vikings? Like
Defensively too, which is crazy because 3 years ago that Vikings defense was one of the better defenses in the NFC for sure in the league, and that defense again that we saw against the Giants was just horrible. I mean, they have the weapons on offense that they make sense winning games if their defense doesn't absolutely collapse. And I think it's more a surprise that their defense didn't collapse a lot more during the regular season than we saw them do against the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, because like even like that 40-3 loss to Dallas, like you can go, okay, well somebody just didn't show up that day. You know what I mean? Like sometimes just terrible things happen. And they're not explainable, the whole any given Sunday theory. But like there was more than one or two examples that maybe we just didn't want to admit, or it was too easy to ignore or something. But
it's almost as if someone tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen.
God. I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen.
Don't curse at me. You walked into it, Jim. And
I did. My fault. That was my fault. That was my fault. I'm an idiot. Certainly did expose the Giants and de facto exposed the NFC North and the Vikings. But like the point I made on my 5 observations on Sunday on this Huddle Up podcast feed is that like the Giants, and I don't think we're saying anything that people don't already know, they were kind of proven to be a team that we knew they were. Like, they were better than expected, but they were still just kind of an average team that benefited because a lot of teams either were worse than expected or showed up late.
I'm not going to go full Denny Green. I only had them winning 4 games.
They are who we thought they were.
Yeah, I can't go there because they at least did better than that. So, and that's a me problem.
So, but what I mean by that, because they were better than predicted,
right?
But at the end of the day, as a playoff team, they were the benefit of Green Bay not really figuring out until mid to late season. Detroit going on an early slide. The Rams just not being what we thought they were. The Cardinals being worse than anticipated. You know,
there too. Yeah.
exactly. So there was a lot of factors that went into how the NFC ended up getting structured. But yeah, it was just one of those situations where a team who was better than expected benefited by a lot of teams not being what they were.
I'm looking at their schedule now, and only one of their wins was by more than one score, and that was against the Colts when the Giants fans really started hyping up this Giants team is going to make some noise in the playoffs. And I think if you look at their early season, they escaped a lot of games. I mean, the Titans missed the field goal week 1. The Panthers were just going through the worst possible scenario on and off the field, and they still only lost by 3 to the Giants. So it was some early season success, I think, that a lot of people were expecting for the Giants that really just kind of helped them. Because then that's what kind of amused me about all the talking heads that were trying to make the Eagles Giants seem like it was going to be this close slugfest. Was Giants were hot at the end of the season. It's like, no, they were not. They finished 3-5-1. Like, what are we doing? I get we need to make people tune in to watch this, but come on.
Yeah, and yeah,
no disrespect to Danny Dimes, give him his extension.
Yeah, give that man his money. But did I expect it to be a 38-7 game? No. I don't know that anybody expected it to be that broad, but I wasn't that surprised that the Eagles won easily.
I think all that's spot on. The only thing at this point that I would truly add is you mentioned the Vikings and the Giants were both those teams that, listen, if they were any more a house of cards, Kevin Spacey would start voicing the coaches, in the PlayStation game. I'm just throwing it out there.
Very true. Very true. All right. My good from this weekend, throughout the year, various talking heads and one that is absent from this show currently talked about the home field advantage for the Buffalo Bills. Okay. Like, Graydon, we were definitely supposed to believe that, a team that is a cold weather, lake effect snow, Bills Mafia, all of this, like, that you play against them in Buffalo in January, that it was practically going to be a lock for the Bills to win and the Bills to advance. And if the Bills get the number 1 seed, you might as well give them the AFC title game. Well, there's a certain quarterback for a certain team in Cincinnati that was having none of that ish. And the team as a whole, but like, seriously, let's certainly give Joe Burrow his flowers for leading that team in a Buffalo environment that should have tipped the scale in the favor of the home team, and
he took that crowd out early.
The Bengals just didn't give a fuck about the Buffalo crowd or anything. They just look like a team that won't be denied this year. We'll certainly get to our predictions for this weekend here in a little bit, but man, my good, absolutely. Bengals as a whole, but specifically Joey Burr.
Like, understand, and this is for me, like I made it clear on any show where I picked the Bills that I did so because my big mouth done got me in trouble, right?
Oh, sure.
I picked it early. I even whispered in Gabe Davis's ear, I can't turn around and then be all like, oh, the Bengals are going to win. Like, that's awful. I had to ride with it, but I did want to pick the Bengals. Yeah, that was before I even saw it snowing. When I say to myself, oh my God, it's snowing, the Bills are in trouble in the former Ralph Wilson Stadium. You done something wrong, Buffalo Bills. You done killed your own damn advantage in the stadium. Put a dome on that bitch then at this point, right?
Right. Like, why are we playing in the elements at this point?
So that's all I got to say to that. That's all I have to say about that.
Any other thoughts to that game, Matt?
No, I mean, I think it was all kind of wrapped up perfectly, and I think a lot of people were surprised with the outcome of that one as well. I mean, I think there were probably plenty of people that thought the Bengals would win, but to win as convincingly as they did in Buffalo, I think was certainly a surprise. Maybe not to Mike, but to some other people.
Right.
No,
I mean, come on.
Either side
Homer-
winning that game shouldn't be surprising. It was set up to be a close game, but that snow coming in gave what I felt was leverage to a running back who is among the top underrated running backs in the league. There's some talk about that in the pre-record I did with Mikey Byrne and BP of A7BN Sports. So look for that when it drops on Wednesday. But let's just say there are compelling concepts and people who are underrated running backs, Joe Mixon among them.
For sure. Mike's good from the weekend was the tight end position on all 4 winning teams. Kittle, Goddard, Hurst, and Kelsey all performed well for their teams. Absolutely. All right. For probably, I think the first time this year, I'm going to kind of transition and go and give my bad first because it ties in to my good, and there should be no surprise, is those Buffalo Bills at home. You had the emotion of DeMar Hamlin in the building, in the locker room with the team. I really did. I felt like you had a lot of things in your favor, and now you're left with a ton of questions coming out of this one. There was the frustration with Stephon Diggs after the game. There's, a lot of, again, I understand that social media can sometimes be a strange echo chamber of non-reality, but I've seen a lot of people calling into question Josh Allen. I've seen a lot of people calling in question McDermott, the head coach, and where this Bills team goes from here. And I think, at least to a degree, some of those questions are valid, because this is multiple years in a row where you've had, at least on paper, one of the best teams in the league, certainly among the best in your conference. And not only can you not get to the Super Bowl, now you're struggling to get out of the second round as other teams are starting to catch up and pass you. There's got to be a little bit of concern in Northern New York. So just kind of Allen and the Bills and Bills Mafia and just the whole snow pile up there in Buffalo, gentlemen.
In short, what Jim has told us is he's going to spell the term Bills with a Y. Boy, you love losing Super Bowls. Listen, see, we all know the old version with it keeping the I, and I love losing. Anyway, so the whole DeMar Hamlin thing is interesting. And I kind of came up with this, to EJ's credit, on the Earnestly Speaking podcast earlier today, being that
yeah, we know the deal.
That's why I did it like that. I'm trying to talk here. Yeah, I'm talking here. No, did DeMar Hamlin actually end up being more of a net positive for the Bengals at this point? Because over and above, showing outright class as an organization with the events of that night, that scary night, then from their perspective, at least, I don't want to get into whether they actually were jobbed or not. For me to have that big an opinion on it is difficult, though. From the Bengals position, the rules were written a certain way and you opted to ratify and change them. Okay, sure.
Thanks, Roger.
Thanks, Roger. Even though this is a team that's beaten the Patriots and Rodgers in cahoots with them, right? That's a joke.
Sure.
But I think it's possible that because of all that bitterness, that the alleged neutral party that is Mike Bernier
allegedly
demonstrates as for the Bengals community, is that they felt like they got super jobbed. And you heard the question after the game about the neutral site ticket sales, and Joey Burr being Joey Burr with that fantastic answer of, guess they're gonna have some refund, better get them refunds.
Sure.
Right? That gives me the evidence to feel like somehow or another there's mental gymnastics there that put them in more of a underdog mentality.
There's a chip on the Bengals' shoulder.
which already exists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, like they got to the Super Bowl and lost last year.
Right.
Everybody, the whole offseason, everybody talked about how teams who lose the Super Bowl struggled even to get to the playoffs, much less do anything else. So you already had that going. Yeah. And then
your boy Riptide Rush and all that happens.
Right. You know, and like, look, not to go down a hole that we've already been down, but like it is what it was. Like I said, all you had to do was beat the Ravens in week 18. They certainly did that. The coin flip didn't even come into play. But for whatever reason, justified or not, that's merely opinion. The Bengals, their fans, their locker room coaches, everybody took that as bulletin board material and an insult, and they have turned it into even a more focused group as we've seen in this postseason. So the league, I think, created a monster here, and now everybody else is having to deal with it.
I see Mikey Byrne demonstrating the class in the comments associated with this anomaly. Yeah, that's
Homer.
So no, and I'll put it this way. I don't know.
Look, and I'm not faulting on Mikey B, because I would, if that was the Cowboys in that spot, I'd be acting the same way.
Right. Yeah. This isn't me.
100% transparency, Mike.
First of all, Byrne is loving every single minute that he's getting this kind of play just being in the comments. Let's not lie. And second, I think he is but a very awesome example of the only problem I have with the Bengals fan base as a whole is who they sound so much like who dat. Can one of you bitches figure out who D you doing? Which sounds really bad out of context. But like seriously, can we just not do that? Can one of y'all pick the lane, please? Okay.
Who the hell is this?
Exactly. I don't know if I have to worry if my in-laws are entering the room, or if I have to get ready for, to hang out with Mikey Byrne and his family in a way I never will EJ Christian. So I
Man, he's not even here.
That is a disgusting.
He's not even here to defend himself.
Well, he's going to listen to it anyway.
Sure, we'll get a text.
An angry comment, right? Exactly.
Dicks.
You guys are suck. But Matt, what was your bad from the weekend?
I'm going to keep it on the Bills, but the focus is going to go specifically onto an individual. And despite how much I love watching him play on the field, Stephon Diggs and the way he kind of handled the whole situation of whether it wasn't getting the ball properly. I mean, it's tough to play in those elements, I'm sure, but the kind of, I won't use the word tantrum, but what he was doing on the sidelines in terms of motioning at Allen, making that
lash out appropriate.
Lash out's fair, and then what you read afterwards in terms of what happened, him leaving immediately, not wanting to speak to the press, coming back in for maybe 2 minutes, and then exiting again. When your whole team is probably disappointed, I think that's kind of just a bad look. I wouldn't put it as ugly, because I think he can certainly rectify the situation, and I get that a loss like that, emotions are high. He's probably not in the best place in terms of satisfaction with the overall day. So it's bad in terms of the way it was handled, not just with what he did, but everything then getting out in terms of what went on behind the scenes, what was going on in the locker room. And him tweeting later, Eli Apple responding to it. It just kind of snowballed into a bigger thing than I think anyone would have liked to see, especially if you are a Buffalo Bills fan and seeing your best playmaker having this type of reaction to your franchise quarterback doesn't bode well for the future, because we've seen Stephon Diggs leave situations where he's unhappy before, and then there's no saying that it won't happen again.
Well, I'm with you on that 100%. I think you put it nicely. It's not like he assaulted a member of the training staff.
Right.
Like we've seen happen before. He just, as a media member who dwells in locker rooms, specifically in Jacksonville, right? That is a situation that I would have avoided outright. The dude's a human, And I know that there are those members of the press out there who feel it's their job to still get something from them because he's Stefan bleeping Diggs. But by the same token, I would make the argument as somebody who's a fellow performer in that scenario that you could just report his state of being and capture it. And this isn't me blaming any media member. I'm trying to bring some insight to, if I had seen this happening, this is what I would have done. But that being said, I mean, listen, it's never a smart move to throw your people under the bus, outwardly. So that's
Man, the age we live in with social media, with so many cameras everywhere, any little thing caught on the sideline, whether what you were saying was negative, whether you were offering tough criticism. I mean, that's you have to have some awareness in terms of what's going on.
There's a 10-minute period in the locker room before I'm allowed in there. Right. I and the rest of the core are allowed in there. Do that time then. Get it out of your system. And I don't mean to say like I know better, like, oh, you never played the NFL. Kyle. You're right, I haven't. But if you're asking for a way that a player could potentially handle it, that is one. This is not me faulting Stefan Diggs. I get that there is a whole reason. If I'm a guy who is a veteran in a place, and I'm, well, you said top playmaker. I mean, you're putting him ahead of Josh Allen. Okay, cool. There are some people that would do that. I know Nick Wright is among them. I joke.
Let me change my mind then.
But I mean, as Josh Allen hater goes, I think that he's the main one in the national media, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's stick to that. If I'm in a place where the former Ralph Wilson Stadium home field advantage is flat out taken from my team, I would be that kind of cheesed too. But I can't promise that I would have to wear it with all the handle it better either. I mean, I understand it that well. But yeah, you still can't do that. I get it.
Yeah. Which is why I would say bad and not ugly, because I think it's certainly a salvageable situation. I think cooler heads eventually will prevail. They'll talk it out. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I think that's a conversation that can easily be mended.
I mean, hey, in a few weeks, if he goes full Santonio Holmes and he gets ejected from the organization, then we'll put it in ugly.
Yeah, then we can get to all season uglies. But Kyle, what was your bad from the weekend?
Gracious. Letting Chad Henne go 98 yards to score. I'm a Jags fan. Like, that had to have hurt. And I don't mean like in the, how could you do this? Like the pain of that moment. Like, I'm not even a Jags fan. I just cover the team. I cheer for them because when they do good, I cover better games. Point blank in the story, right?
Right.
I got to cover a wild card playoff game that had something go on that I may never see in my entire life, being down 5 turnovers and still winning the expletive deleted game. If this were EJ's podcast, I would curse, but I digress.
What the fuck just happened?
How that was quite appropriate. Well played, Jim. But no, I think that's the moment that Jag fans are slapping themselves in the face of really being the biggest deal. You mean over Jamal Agnew and Trevor Lawrence's turnovers? Yeah, because those both happened super late. They were in a lot more desperate straits. And the Jags took zero advantage, for all intents and purposes, in my opinion, of Patrick Mahomes II being injured. And that dude was limited AF. Like, he still made some passes to Travis Kelce. I may find myself very soon. I might even do it by the time I do the Student of the Game podcast this week. Bing! To add Travis Kelce to the middle name list. Ooh. I might have to do that. I have to. I'll think about that. Early votes so far. Travis Kelce getting middle name treatment on the Student of the Game. Oh, undisputed eyes from the panel. Carrying on.
Bro, I got a fantasy football championship because of Travis Kelce. So, yeah, I'm all for. Maybe I'll just hold it.
So I don't know how my bad became a Travis Kelce stand fest, but here we are.
But hey, I'm here for it. I almost didn't keep that guy this year, and boy, would that have been a mistake.
Dumb mother.
That would have been a mistake. He disappointed me last year, but this year certainly was much better off. Let's see here. Mike's bad. Josh Allen. Interesting take, and I saw
This is a horrible take, by the way, but continue.
I saw it from other people, so it's not just Mike.
It's
Josh
still a
Allen
horrible take.
is
I don't care who says it.
is Phillip Rivers, always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
No.
I think it's too early to put that label
Yeah,
on it.
I get what they're saying.
The best running back that Josh Allen has ever had. By the way, here's the answer. It's Josh bleeping Allen. Old man Rivers had LaDainian Tomlinson and Antonio Gates, Hall of Fame cats on his roster. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
I mean, you're right, but I would also argue that Josh Allen's team has had much better defenses to what the Chargers ever had.
Sean Merriman.
Okay, maybe not
Donnie Abraham, Steve Foley, Luis Castillo, Jamal Williams. All these cats entered the chat, and I haven't even gotten
Okay.
Oh, there's Quentin Jim.
Shut up, bitch.
See, I'm finally glad that Jim had a chance to call me a bitch on his show. It's about time.
Yeah, look, I get what they're saying. I get the idea, and I think, okay, let's put this in like meteorology terms. We're on like Phillip Rivers watch. Okay, it's not a warning. We're not in a Category 3 storm or anything like that. But I get the idea of what we're saying.
And I'm saying, bitch, you got a heavy breeze at best.
We also need to remember too with Allen. This is what, year 3, 4.
Oh, by the way, didn't mention Eric Waddle either. If we're still talking about that,
are you still going?
Or Eric Weddle, beg your pardon.
So I think that's something important as well. Yes. Okay, this was year number 5. This is his 4th trip to the playoffs. This year, he had 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions this year. He has 17 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in his playoff career. So let's tap the brakes on selling Allen to that road. He's 26. Okay. I get it.
Calling him old man anything right now.
It's so Mike says here, Rivers couldn't beat Brady and Manning. Allen can't beat Mahomes and Burrow. He hasn't so far.
Fewer weapons.
So I get the statement. This was not a good playoff year for Josh Allen.
Now that is a fact.
That is a fact. That will not be disputed. And it's certainly going to be something that will be watched and scrutinized over the offseason and as we get into next year. But let's keep moving forward into the uglies. Kyle, what was your ugly from this past weekend?
So I hesitate to even bring this up, but I've seen actual snark out there, and again, we've addressed Twitter as an echo chamber that is not a showing of reality. But can people please stop playing the race card on Joey Burr getting props?
Wait, that's a thing that's happening?
That's a thing that's happening.
Oh, good Lord.
Y'all didn't pay this much attention to Patrick Mahomes II. Sorry, they just say Patrick Mahomes because, I anointed him after his Super Bowl.
People weren't paying attention to Mahomes?
That's the alleged. Hit Rome.
Hold on, let me.
Allegedly.
Yes.
Wait, Jim Rome's still here?
Bull crap.
Okay, thank you. I mean, come on. Are we doing this?
I appreciate the thought, but you've got
every single throw Mahomes makes is
the greatest throw ever.
Sports Center top 10.
I'll say this, keeping it perfectly objective in this conversation. The only time I would argue that there wasn't enough Patrick Mahomes II dap is when they were playing the Bucs in the Super Bowl and he was facing Thomas Edward Patrick Bieber Brady. Okay.
Well, I mean,
we all know it wasn't Brady that actually won that Super Bowl.
No, I mean, well, EJ doesn't.
Oh, damn.
He's not here, Jim.
When you're lined up against the the greatest, Kyle. I mean,
Well, I know. Again, I acknowledge that Patrick LaVon Mahomes II was in that game, but that's but he wasn't anointed enough, is what
Right.
they're saying, and
Yeah,
but
it's insane. That's
it's pretty ugly.
Luckily, in my echo chamber, I haven't seen any of that because that is absurd. For sure. Matt, what was your ugly from this past weekend?
I'm going to leave you to roast the Cowboys fully. I'm just going to focus on a portion of the Cowboys game that I thought was ugly, and that was the final possession by the Cowboys, starting with the fair catch of the punt at the 6. My friend.
Oh, dude.
You take the gamble and you hope it goes into the end zone. If not, worst case scenario, you're starting at the 1 and you have to go 99 yards instead of 94. Not as huge of a deal as if you can get 15 extra yards. What was Schultz doing that entire drive, running backwards to keep the clock running, and then basically hopping out of bounds on one foot rather than just drag the tiniest bit of his toe to make it a catch?
Thing sucks.
And then there was the final play where Ezekiel Elliott snapped the ball.
It's not funny.
To Dak, and we didn't even get a single lateral. Not even one. Not even an attempted fling backwards for a prayer. You catch the ball and just chuck it in the air. What else do you have to lose at this point? Spread's already covered. You're not hitting the over. Gambling purposes are out the window. You might as well just fling it.
Yep.
Y'all saw Zeke get crushed, right?
Oh, yeah.
Blown up.
Yeah, good sound bite there, Jim. That in itself was worth the ugly. I'm with you, Matt.
That could be the last play Ezekiel Elliott makes in a Cowboys uniform.
No.
That's
think
a
about
lot
that.
of dead cap on Zeke.
I mean, look, I was relieved to see that he said he is willing to restructure and take less money to remain a Cowboy, because that's
what is he at this point? He's a third and short
fullback. Exactly. He's Jerome Bettis and not even as good.
Hold on. What he really means to say, he's willing to take less money to go to a team that will effing use him. That's what I read.
That is, but yeah, either way, the dude needs to be paid less money.
The Cowboys in that final drill, it was here's your what not to do in a final 2-minute drill, starting with the fair catch and Dak just missing wide open throws that he's making the money that he needs to hit those.
Yeah,
on that throw. He overthrew what, Gallup, when he had a chance to get them in a serviceable Hail Mary attempt.
He's just bad.
Yeah, he should have been sprinting full out, not in a gallop.
Joe Buck yourself.
Oh, look, from one Cowboys homer to another. All right.
But yeah, I mean, look, I don't think there was going to be any mystery of what my ugly was going to be. And mine is specifically targeted at one Rain Dakota Prescott. Yes, Kyle, I did it.
You did it weeks ago. I'm sorry. Continue.
But look, you single-handedly handed the Niners 6 points. With 2 interceptions. You took points off of your own board with the second one because you were in the red zone. Now, granted, we don't know for sure if Maher would have made the kick, although he was perfect on field goals on Sunday.
That's true.
So it was, as long as it wasn't
field goals beyond 40 yards, Jim. If he's in the red zone, he's at that
details, Matt.
Towing that line.
But you're going into the half. At the very worst, you don't give up points. But no, Dak wouldn't have it any other way. And then 3 minutes to go. With all of the other mistakes aside on Sunday, handing the other team points aside on Sunday, 3 minutes to go, you have an opportunity, 3 timeouts, to change the rhetoric. that everybody's had about you for so long. You have the opportunity to put the team on your back and say, I'm not going to be that dude anymore, right? And when the Cowboys got the ball back with 3 minutes to go, I looked across the living room at my wife and I said, he's going to throw a pick six on the first play. And the Niners almost proved me right. If it wasn't for a guy dropping the pass, I would have been 100% accurate on my assessment.
Why are you jinxing my team? What the F, Jay?
And then on second down, you have a wide open Michael Gallup. All you have to do is hit him in stride. You're at least getting inside the 45. Maybe he breaks that tackle and he's gone for 7. But you couldn't even do that. You threw it behind him and past him at the same time, which I don't know that a lot of quarterbacks could screw up that bad. But Dak can. And then on third down, you awkwardly try to scramble and end up getting sacked.
I mean, what you're trying to tell me is that EJ brings more security in his van than Dak does to the football.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, without question. But yeah, just to be getting paid what he's getting paid. He's due $50 million against the cap next year. It's well past time for him to be playing like he did on Sunday. Like it just is. Like, and it's a shame for me because Dak really is, by all accounts, a great person. But man, it just I'm done. Like really, it's just he's never going to be that dude. And it's not. And I know, EJ, you guys touched on this today on the Earnestly Speaking podcast. I'm not sitting here saying Dak is a bad quarterback because he's not. He's in the top half of the league. I'll agree with what Kyle was saying. He's in the top half of the league.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not. He's never going to be a top 5 guy. He's going to have to work unbelievably hard to prove that you can even put him in a top 10 conversation. Because he's not there right now. And the Cowboys are paying him way too much money to just be a middle of the road quarterback. That's where my frustration is. Because you shouldn't be that way in year 7 going into year 8. Like,
especially with the weapons he's had throughout his career.
Yeah. And now, like, this year he didn't have as many. Because
that's kind of at the fault of ownership. Because
ownership is a whole separate issue with the Dallas Cowboys.
Ownership in front office.
Traded away Amari Cooper for peanuts.
Yeah,
I'm sure a receiver like Cooper would have helped.
Great job
in
Jerry.
A playoff run.
Probably. Browns fans wouldn't know, but probably.
Jim, let me hit you with a hypothetical. Let's say Rain takes the team, drives them down, they score a touchdown. 19-18. Are you going for 2 in that situation? Because there's probably under 2 minutes left at this point.
Oh yeah, I would guess there's definitely under 2.
Or are you trusting it with Maher, whose first extra point attempt was going to hit someone
hit somebody sitting behind the cheerleaders
to
on
his
the
credit,
25-yard line.
He got to his credit though in the end. He hit a field goal later on, and
but
was longer.
The extra points still in the mindset because now he's got to come out.
That's the problem. That's who Maher's always been. Because even in his first run with the Cowboys, he would like from 45 plus. You didn't worry about it. If he had like a 19-yard straight on with no wind, you were like, he's gonna miss this.
Shit.
And like that's kind of what we saw over the last couple of weeks. Honestly, Matt. And especially given who Mike McCarthy is, I think they would probably have gone for 2. And I couldn't have faulted them for it because here's the thing: if you put Maher out there and he misses it, you're gonna have to try to get an onside kick and go for a field goal anyway, right? So you might as well go for 2 to put yourself up, and then your defense has been playing incredibly, and I think that's one of the things that's been lost. In the discussion around this game on both sides, but especially about the Cowboys, is how good that defense was, because we've heard about the how prolific the Niners offense has been, especially Purdy took over and you have Christian McCaffrey. Like you held them to 19 points.
Yeah, this is
and 6 of those were gifted to you.
This is all on Dak, period.
Well,
yeah, so
it's that simple.
I would have gone for 2. You know, because maybe you still have 2 or 3 of those timeouts, depending how you manage that drive.
Yeah,
and you know, if you don't get it, you hope for the onside kick. And I couldn't have faulted him for it.
I would have gone for 2 for just the same reasons. Yeah, your offense finally is showing signs of life. It may not again against the Niners defense.
I do.
You do go for 2.
Yeah, I do think the Pollard injury did hurt a lot, though.
Oh, the
absolutely. Without question. I mean,
we aren't talking about enough. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean that was with. I mean, CeeDee Lamb, as frustrating as he was in the early part of this season, has been spectacular down this stretch. He was spectacular in the second half, but they became one-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
And Diggs dropping that easy interception in the red zone is
the guy who
couldn't
drop
on
pass
the
last year. No, granted, like there was momentum carrying him away. The ball was tipped. Like I don't think he really knew that ball was there until he felt it. But man, that's a bad look.
That's a pick he has last season though. His hands were like glued.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, he didn't drop a single thing last year for sure. But yeah, it's another disappointing failure that just leaves Cowboys fans going, now what? My hope is, and I was telling Kyle in the pre-show that I saw that the Panthers were interviewing Kellen Moore today, and I lit a candle and started praying about it. So
it's great for the Cowboys. That's horrible for football.
Yeah, I no offense, Panthers fans, but I don't care if this is bad for you. I need that dumb idiot off of my sideline.
There's some analysis.
EJ, we won't get a good and a bad from you, but what was your ugly from this past weekend?
The Bills.
Going straight ugly for the Bills.
It wasn't that they lost. I think we all picked them to lose. I think I picked the Bengals, but it's the way they lost. That was just bad.
I picked the Bills because I had to.
Think about it, 27-10, and the Bengals left points on the board. Think about that a second. You know, and I was bragging all year. We all picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl this year, and I was saying this year, like, you know, the big difference between the Bills possibly this year if they do their job and years past was that everything will go through, you know, to Buffalo, and the Bengals didn't get the memo apparently. So since I think walk into that place,
Joe Burrow doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, he's gonna give 3 fucks and walk into that place and dominate the way he did. That's, I mean,
when did Tyrann Mathieu get the plastic surgery to be Joey Burrow? What's going on here?
No, but I you know, the letdown. I mean, look, we can have this discussion about quarterbacks and rankings and stuff. We have all summer long to do that.
We know you will on the Earnestly Speaking podcast.
You damn right. But it's if it wasn't noticeable before, it's Burrow surpassed Allen at this point. Look, I'm gonna say Allen's dropped down to like bottom of the 10. He's definitely probably number 3 or 4 in the league right now still, but that's a big hit. That's a big hit.
Look, I saw a tweet the other day, I think it might have been yesterday, that it was like, you know, if you're an NFL GM and you're starting your team tomorrow, and it was like what quarterback are you taking? I think the options were Burrow, Allen, Lawrence, and Hurts maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I immediately went Burrow, but I'm like, I would definitely go Burrow over Allen if that's.
Oh yeah, let's be clear. Allen's the most talented, probably the bunch.
Sure.
But, you know, he's. You know what Josh Allen is? Josh Allen is kind of like how we view Aaron Rodgers. Now, granted, Rodgers has a ring, actually. So, you know, but it's been a long time since we experienced that. But he's all the talent, but it's just, I don't know, it's weird because, like, Burrow does all the little things correct. Like, Dan Orlovsky, I said it to Kyle earlier in the podcast. Dan Orlovsky made actually a great point. It sounded shocking because it sounded very clickbaitish at first when you read it on the YouTube, whatever. But he made a good point about how, like, Burrow is the best quarterback in the league right now. Doesn't mean that Mahomes is not the most talented. Doesn't mean Mahomes, because Mahomes is such an anomaly because what he does is far beyond what anyone else can do ever in this entire league, ever. Burrow does the basics right. He just does the basics right. And while the basics are what they are, not everybody can get that right. And that's what makes
the most fundamentally sound.
Exactly. Correct. Right there. You just said it right there. So And I gotta be honest with you, like he's kind of right about that. He's kind of right.
Out of bounds Orlovsky occasionally gets them right.
Well, first of all, not really. And second, no. Are you kidding me? You just literally used the phrase he could do things no one else can do, but he's not the best quarterback. That's retarded. Like, I'm sorry.
No.
I know we're not allowed to use words, but that doesn't make any damn sense. Like,
I wouldn't put.
Go ahead.
I wouldn't put him number one. It's still Mahomes to me, no matter what.
Oh, then I misheard you. I'm so sorry. Okay.
No, I'm just saying, but he's making a point about how Burrow does the fundamentals correctly that any other quarterback who should be able to do that right just can't do it.
So no wonder it was an Orlovsky take that was correct.
Right.
He also said in another sentence that humans breathe oxygen. Next question.
Yeah.
Sorry, I completely misheard you. My bad.
I kind of like the way Mike puts it here. Joe Burrow is a quarterback. Josh Allen is an athlete playing quarterback.
Which is interesting for how often that has been used as an indictment for other quarterbacks.
Right.
I know.
Right.
I missed the part earlier. I was putting the kids to sleep. Talking about the whole like comparison to Phillip Rivers. We're not there yet.
No.
I
understand the idea.
See me in 3 years. See me in 3 years. But it's not a bad comparison, but it's too early to use that right now.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
felt like piling on to that I had already put a ton of facts all over. I appreciate that.
But
EJ.
I will say that he's done more in the 4 years than what Peyton Manning did in his first 4 years. So let's be a little more
Yeah, but
level for that.
I'm not ready for that conversation either.
I'm not comparing the two either, but I'm just saying that we
26 years old. Like
give him time.
We like this was his. Let's just leave it at this was his worst playoff performance to date.
Do you think that the ups and roller coaster of the last 4 weeks also may have played also a big role in how Buffalo this really was kind of
we touched on
up
that
and down? Do you think? I'm asking you two really. I asked Colin this on the show earlier, but you two, Matt and Jim, is it possible that the up and down motions last 3-4 weeks of the Hamlin thing, and because we saw this coming even last week with the Miami?
Yeah, I mean the thing I said is like it kind of gave the Bengals because of what the league decided to do in the aftermath of it. It kind of put a chip on the Bengals' shoulder.
Yeah.
But for the Bills, I mean, look, let's be honest, because I think something that gets lost in sports, and I know for Matt and EJ as wrestling fans and Mike as well, something that gets lost is these guys are human. Okay. So there are things that are happening outside of the playing field that are going to affect things. So, yes, the Hamlin situation, I'm sure impacted the Bills in ways that we don't truly understand. Because like their brother in the locker room, they watched him die on the field and then was brought back and has been kind of in a battle. And thank God he's doing as well as he is. But has been in a battle for his life for weeks. So that can't be lost in all of this either, for sure. But Matt, any other thoughts to that?
Nope.
All right, let's keep moving along here. And just looking at this past weekend, obviously we touched on a whole bunch of this, so we don't need to go too long form into the games themselves. But there was something, Kyle, from you guys over at the 3-point conversion that I thought was an interesting discussion point. They only had it to the Bills, Giants, Cowboys, but I'll extend it to all 4 teams that lost this weekend. Which team do you think had the worst loss? EJ, I'll start with
that's
you.
easy. That's Buffalo, because the Giants losing, not surprised. Jaguars losing, not surprised. Cowboys losing, better. Those three teams lost to better teams. Buffalo losing, given all the expectations coming to the year, even to the playoffs, is the easiest answer.
Okay, so this is really the reason why that take was absolutely horrid by your own evidence.
Wait, Jim Rome's still here.
I appreciate the thought, but you've got the story wrong.
So the toughest game for anybody to pick, regardless of your personal feelings, EJ, was Bills and Bengals, and it's not close.
Speak for yourself on that one. That ain't me.
Sorry, Captain Hindsight. The lead was you were in the minority. Okay, pay attention, right? Everyone else had trouble deciphering that game. You were going with some intangibles that were hard to account for with the DeMar Hamlin situation. I give you props for that. You brought up a good point that nobody could really quantify. That's a tough bring in. But if you're going to tell me a 28-point walloping is anything like the Bills being in a situation where they suddenly realize that their makeup as a team doesn't fit the snow in Ralph Wilson Stadium, to a guy that you just anointed the second best quarterback in the damn league. In the words of Brad Pitt in Moneyball, what the fuck are we doing here?
But again, it's not about the loss. Again, I picked Cincinnati win the game.
The
anyway.
losing isn't
It's
about
the
the
way.
loss.
It's the way they lost. It's the way they lost. It's the worst loss.
You picked the Giants plus 7.5.
Okay.
You said give me the Giants and the points. So you, despite thinking that it would be a loss, thought it would be a close loss. It wasn't close at all.
But the Giants.
Homer.
No. There's got to be a Giants fan for that to be true.
No, I mean, but again, the narrative: Buffalo was the Super Bowl favorite coming into the year. Buffalo still had a lot of that. Into the playoffs.
Your anointed coach of the year went for it on 4th and 8, down 7-0 in the first quarter, and then punted down 28.
I know.
With 6 minutes left. That's the worst loss because Dayball.
If you're saying performance, fine. What's about narrative overall, though?
A fool.
Okay, no, but all those things be correct though. You're not wrong about that. But again, narrative.
Narrative
Buffalo.
is one element. You're pounding one element.
That is the element to me. That is the element.
Also, something you said that I don't think is totally true though, because you said the Niners or the Cowboys lost to a better team, the Giants lost to a better team, and the Jags lost to a better team. I'm going to go ahead and say the Bills lost to a better team.
Correct.
I understand the Bills are playing at home, and theoretically speaking, the home field advantage and all of that stuff that we talked about, that people have talked about all season. But while all of that was going on, the Bengals are the better team.
No, I agree, and the Bears can see those two for the record. But again, it's the way they lost. It's the way they lost. They got embarrassed at home. Okay,
embarrassed,
and 27-10 with points left on the board. The same. Remember that Chase touchdown that got overturned?
So wait. Points on the board. You mean for the Bengals?
For the Bengals.
27-10
was not.
So let me try to state your argument a little bit better for those that are literate and listening to this podcast. What you're trying to say is the score isn't commensurate with what you saw. You, in your mind, perceive this game to be as big a gap as the Eagles and the Giants, except the Bills were the home team. Is that what you're trying to scrape together?
That's a large part of it, yeah.
It's bad. See how much better I made it actually sound? He's still wrong.
Right.
You're better than this. You're smarter than this. At least I thought so.
No, EJ, I didn't do that to you. I'll do it to show that. But I mean, so but the reason why I reword that is your argument isn't as bad as I was first accusing it of being. I will give you that much credit. But no.
What is the worst loss then, Kyle?
Well, if we had a Giant fan in the room, he might be able to articulate properly. Are you bleeping kidding me? I mean, are we taking the Giants out because that's obvious? Is that the question? Or
I mean, if you want to use a Giant, I mean, that's your answer. Go right ahead. But I mean,
I think it's pretty obvious. A 28-point smack in which at no point in the game were you even remotely relevant to get beaten for the third goddamn time.
It's 31 points.
31 points. I was going to say that.
31. Math is hard. Look,
it's even worse.
But there was a lot. The thing with the Giants game, though, there was a lot more questions coming out of the game because of Jalen Hurts. If Hurts is healthy, and I said that we didn't know how good he'll look. Remember, we did the pucks on Tuesday, like 4 days out.
Well, the narrative was.
I think Tuesday he was off the injury report, Matt. Right?
No, but we did not know if he'll be close to 100%. There's a report saying he was like 75%, maybe 50%. We didn't know.
But hold on. it was still the narrative.
That's true, Mike. Mike says Kyle's math is trying to make sure Dimes gets the extension. Kyle was doing the Lord's work, and I appreciate that. Kyle.
Actually, that game actually probably hurt his chance of getting an extension.
I was about to say, if I'm saying that loss was the worst, I'm actually arguing against it. Now, restating it to make EJ sound better, maybe that's where. Maybe I'm just trying to be objective on the whole Dimes thing because I'm really done talking about it. Can somebody decide something, for Christ's sake?
Yeah, please just sign him so we can move on with our lives and feel better.
Hey, I don't want to hear anything from you, Cowboy fan. They're going to be talking about Ezekiel Elliott for the next 6 months. Okay,
I'm not going to be.
ESPN will, for damn sure.
Well, then that's your own poor choice for watching ESPN.
That's true.
Wow, got him.
But if we want to take the Giants out of this, I think
the Cowboys.
It's got to be, right?
I don't think so. Well, God,
here's the thing. My argument for the Cowboys being the worst loss is because they did it to themselves.
You don't think the Bills did it to themselves? I'm asking. You think
I don't. Maybe a little bit, but I also think the Bengals are just in that spot, like I said in my good, that they don't care who you are or where the game's being played.
Did you
they
just
are
make
playing
Joey Burr a Backstreet Boy?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, let's be honest. You put him in the right outfit, he fits the bill as well, and he's probably doing it better than the Backstreet Boys. But I'm just saying that's just how good the man is.
I'm gonna change my answer to the Jags.
But for the Cowboys,
hold on. Please explain.
But my point with the Cowboys, Matt, and I'll let you get there. But again, you handed them at least 6+ points in a game you lost by 7.
Right.
And there was more points to be had for Dallas. Obviously, you missed an extra point. You missed open receivers. You did a lot of things wrong. You shut down the offense that everybody's been talking about for weeks. You could have scored more against this great defense, and you did it to yourselves. To me, that makes that loss, because the Giants, let's be fair, they were outmatched. They were going to lose. It was far worse than any of us could have expected.
They had the coach of the year, though, Jim.
I know they did it, but and honestly, that probably does maybe give them a case for worst loss of the week too. But yeah, to me, it's if you have a team that can pull an upset and you fail yourselves, that gives me a case. But Matt, we'll listen to the case of the Jaguars.
I'll just make the case for the Jags because no one else was going to bring up the Jags. But I will say that losing to Patrick Mahomes on one leg has to be demoralizing for the Jaguars to see how far the gap is between them and competing for a championship in that conference.
So, or it could just be Patrick Mahomes II being that expletive deleted good.
Right, he is. But you have him. This is probably the best chance you have to beat Patrick Mahomes with as good as he is if he's on one leg and he still was able to finish the job. I think that has to be a tough pill to swallow for the Jaguars, given the status of their team. They're certainly on the rise.
They gave up a 98-yard drive to Chad Henne.
That's the key one.
Michigan's own Chad Henne, for the record.
That argument answers that, I think, better than, according to some national analysts who are probably homers, Patrick Mahomes II on one angle is the third best quarterback.
That was Nick Wright.
But the punchline is, for my money, the Jags showed me too many flashes of good in what the future is going to be to call that game disappointing. There's a lot of intangibles there.
I think the Jags arrived a year early.
This is just me entering the Jags into the conversation.
Yeah, just trying to make. Yeah.
At the end of the game, all this that we said, we're all wrong. The correct answer is the most disappointing team in all this is the effing Vikings.
You ain't lying.
They didn't get too many opportunities to play that stupid horn. So
right?
We are the winners.
Right, exactly. They are losers, but we, because of it, are winners. So, all right, gentlemen, let's transition here to the two games this weekend.
Let's start with the better game. God, who the heck is the producer here?
I'm going in order. This is the early game on Sunday, Kyle.
You think the NFL gets this ish right? I had to go twice to Jacksonville on a Saturday night. I'm kidding. Go
Kyle,
ahead.
who's the host here?
Shut up, bitch.
We got the 2 seed San Francisco 49ers traveling east at the number 1 seed Philadelphia Eagles, who are 2.5-point home favorite. 46 is your over under in this one. Sunday, 3:00 Eastern time on Fox. EJ, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, I'm glad you started with him. He's cheering for both teams, so this is going to be tough.
I told Kyle earlier,
His head exploding trying to figure out who.
I told Kyle earlier. I told Kyle earlier today, man. Like, if you ask me today who wins the game, I say Eagles. Ask me on Thursday, I might go Niners. Ask me a kickoff on Sunday, I might go back to Eagles again. I don't know, because what Jalen Hurts did on Saturday changed everything about how I see this team going forward. Jalen Hurts looked sharp, and granted, quality opponent does matter. Giants aren't on that level, we know that, but Jalen Hurts looks so sharp that my Niners Super Bowl pick now to me is it's up in the air. It really is, and it comes down to me. And I was telling Colin in the podcast that which quarterback is most likely to make more mistakes in this game. The likelihood. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying of the two, which one is likely to make more mistakes? Probably Brock Purdy, because people think he's due for a kind of mediocre game. And I'm not saying that's going to happen.
I mean,
Dallas had opportunities.
He had a mediocre game on Sunday.
Dallas had opportunities, and I will dare say Philadelphia's defense is more well-rounded than Cowboys.
Accurate.
So right now on Huddle Up,
definitely a better secondary.
Yeah,
Right.
if you're asking right now on Huddle Up Podcast on January 24th at 9:13 p.m., I'm taking the Eagles to cover this game and give me the under. Now, again, ask me again on Friday or Saturday, I might change my pick. But right now, I'm sorry. What I saw on Saturday Philadelphia is less what the Giants. It's more about how they looked. The Eagles just look like the team they were in week 4, week 5. And I hate to say that. Go Niners, but I got the Eagles.
Oh my God, you're gross all the way around.
I'm sorry.
God damn.
See me on Thursday. Maybe on my podcast, or next podcast, I might change my pick. So I was just saying.
Wow. An alleged Giants fan out here.
Allegedly.
You want analysis or you want
Niners
homerism?
drops?
We get both from you, apparently.
I mean, seriously. Go Niners.
Kyle, we'll go to you next. Kyle, what do you think?
Listen, the most important thing that the Niners defense have to do in this game is make sure that they put the Eagles quarterback behind bars, which means to say that the defense needs to be Jalen Hurts. Anyways, so
why are you doing you do, Kyle?
First of all, I saw Matt smiling. Fuck all of you. That's weird. So you know, and EJ stole the point I made on his podcast.
Bing.
Copies your work, Kyle.
I mean, you know, but at least
10 years later, buddy. Come on now.
At least he's doing it by writing it down this time, and I appreciate that. There's evidence that he's stealing it. Yes, maybe I should send you a student of the game notebook as well. Merchandising.
Bing.
Merchandising.
I love Mel Brooks.
Anyways, but yeah, I think, man, listen, the biggest question I have, especially that I see here in the comments, is I guess I haven't seen the number, because how the bleep would you pick the over in this game? How? What do you see that I don't?
46.
I went under.
Yeah. No, I know you did. And I guess it's Devin that put the over. And man, listen, I'm no degenerate. I don't bet games because, you know, listen, I already have enough issues.
You're nothing but a degenerate.
No, that's Zach. But listen, I don't bet because I already have issues with diabetes. I don't need to add my heart pressure to it, you know. But listen.
Diabetes.
Wow,
that was good.
You went Brenner on me. Or not Brenner. I can't remember the guy's name. You surprised me so much.
Oh, it's
Brimley. There we go.
Yeah,
Brimley.
Wolf Brimley.
No, but these teams, man, like I feel like offensively, they are almost, I'm not going to say carbon copies, but boy, they're both super balanced up front.
Oh yeah.
They?
Oh yeah.
Defensively, they're both super balanced. Right. I again, I'm not going to go full carbon copy. I don't feel like that's completely accurate. They're just, you know, the Eagles might be slightly better up front than the Niners are in the secondary. I don't know. I was hoping to get a chance to break that down a little bit better with the Muslim football scout, Bashir Umar Pemberton. But if the Eagles win, we'll definitely have him on the Student of the Game podcast to break down the Super Bowl. But it's gonna, and I don't like this logic of, well, Brock Purdy's due to have a bad game. If he's gonna have a bad game where he's gonna be affected is in a game where it's a shootout. This ain't that. You want to say he's gonna struggle against the Bengals or well, I haven't made the pick yet. So Bengals or the Chiefs, cool. We'll have that conversation when it comes, right? But in this game, if he makes a mistake, the defense would theoretically keep themselves either guy in the game, unless there's some sort of a complete and total jailbreak, the likes of which would rival the Broncos battling the Legion of Boom in that Super Bowl. Y'all remember that first play of the game being a damn snap over Manning's head, right?
Correct.
Barring catastrophe of that level, I got the under, and that's really the only sure thing.
Yeah.
But because Brock is Mr. Irrelevant and a third-string quarterback, which, by the effing way, why is Kyle Shanahan not in more people's Coach of the Year conversation, right? Brian Daboll is number 4. Deal with it, EJ. Behind Peterson, Sirianni,
Such a bad take.
and Shanahan. You can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Thank you for the setup, EJ, and thank you, Jim, for taking it home. But because Brock is Mr. Irrelevant and just pure data with what we got, one cannot have great data for intangibles. That's the problem with picking this game.
Mm-hmm.
By default, I'm forced to pick the Eagles. I don't know what the spread is.
2.5.
2.5.
Favoring
Eagles, home field.
They're basically calling it a wash.
I mean, it's a pick 'em because right. But bet the Eagles, man. And the under is what I have.
Oh, absolutely, without question. The under is the lock.
All right, Matt,
I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, I mean, to Devin's credit, I could see it being a 27-20 game. It's a low enough total that I think that, saying the over isn't outlandish. I would still take the under. I wouldn't bet on this game in general, honestly. So I would go with the under, and I haven't picked against the Eagles yet. I can't start now, but I think that this is going to be one hell of a game. I think both these teams match up so well with each other offensively, the weapons that each of them have defensively, what they can do getting after the quarterback against two offensive lines that protect the quarterback very well. I think that we're just going to see a slugfest here, but give me the Eagles.
You could bet us, but you choose not to, Matthew.
See, something I would also say here, my ugly should have been dumbasses out there that tried to call the Cowboy and Niners game a boring game because they just can't handle watching.
I love that game.
Screw these people.
Yeah, no.
I even tweeted it like the second quarter. Like, this is a fucking
I loved
game.
it too.
That too. But I'm saying,
What an asshole.
Third quarter game. I tweeted third quarter game. This is an excellent game.
I probably should have had it as like as a second part of my good was when Micah Parsons one arm chucked Mike McGlinchey, because that was wild to see.
By the way, shout out to NFL Network or NFL.com for on Instagram pointing out Trent Williams how good he was on protecting Purdy against Micah on Instagram. You see that shit, Kyle?
Somebody griping at me about Trent Williams being injured, or was it in the comments last week? Where you at now? Right?
He did a fantastic job.
Bum ass hippies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I think the biggest key in this game, and we're not going to know what they're going to be able to do, as good as they are, is the defense of the 49ers. I think that's the key in this game. Like we said, the Eagles have a more rounded defense than the Cowboys. Their pass rush is really good. They can disrupt. The Cowboys kind of gave the Eagles the blueprint a bit to make Mr. Irrelevant look human, right? 19 of 29, 214, averaged 7 yards a completion, no touchdowns, didn't turn the ball over. Wouldn't know what that's like as a Cowboys fan, but whatever. But no, the Eagles defense has the blueprint right there to keep the Niners from using the weapons that they have. So to me, it's can the Niners defense, and there's no reason to believe that they can't stop the Eagles from doing what the Eagles offense is going to do with a healthy Jalen Hurts and all the weapons that they have. Because, as we talked about, there was opportunities for the Cowboys offense to put more points on the board. So can the Eagles exploit and make those opportunities happen for themselves and get this game a little bit more open than we think is going to happen? Or, is it going to be a little bit tighter? That's going to be the thing. I'm going to kind of agree with the committee here and that it is going to be more of an even matchup. And that definitely the under. If you're going to bet this, bet the under. Don't be stupid. I think this is going to be a lower scoring matchup. I either have to pick the team that eliminated my team or I have to pick the team that I hate. So this just sucks either way. But I gotta go Philly. I do. Like I've Ben's against my what I would hope. I can't even say better
judgment.
I love it. You give me shifting in Philly, but then you do the same thing.
Yes, but you're a fan. That's
you
different.
picked the Eagles and said go Niners. It's playing both sides of the coin.
I'm rooting for the Niners to win. Again, this might change.
No, you beat me to it, Jim. I was going to apologize for all the times I accused you of straddling the fence on the 5 discussions pod. That's fair.
Look, I've argued for the Eagles at points this year to be higher on power rankings than other people are willing to put them. We'll get there. More on that later. But yeah, look, I don't like admitting it, but to be fully objective here, the Eagles are the best team. They look healthy and they look to be the best team, and they're at home. So yeah, I think they have that edge until proven otherwise.
Let me summarize it the way I did on the Earnestly Speaking pod, because I think he said so modestly. Thank you. I think modestly, as he says, I did a good job putting it this way. The point of any defense, first and foremost, is to make an offense one-dimensional, right? Mm-hmm. Turnovers and all that is just happy bonuses.
Sure.
If an offense is made one-dimensional, what dimension do you force upon the Eagles? Do you make Jalen Hurts throw? Are you not worried about that? Or do you hope that you take the pass away and then let the Eagles run? Both of those don't sound like stellar plans. But let's focus on the fact, like, let's say you take the run away from the Eagles somehow, and you dare Jalen Hurts to throw. Where with the Niners, you're going to lean more towards, I'm going to take the run away from the Niners. It's more obvious. If both teams' defenses are successful, which we believe they have a chance of being, in forcing their opponents to be one-dimensional, who do you believe in better? Right? And at that point, you have to believe in Hurts over putting stock in Brock.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely.
I mean, for Niner fans, that may not be Purdy, but those are the facts of the case.
Good God.
Thank you.
I didn't make a hold on. I didn't make a thing for the AFC game. Let me just I did. It was just NFL Championship weekend. I thought I did.
Yeah, you showed it to me earlier.
There we go. No, I meant the scrolling banner. I just did.
Oh, gotcha.
The NFL Championship weekend. But yeah, let's transition to the late game on Sunday, Kyle, because we go in order in this show.
Order of the schedule, not an interest, but you do.
This one Sunday at 6:30 on CBS. It is the number 3 seed Bengals, who are 1.5 point road favorite at number 1 seed Kansas City. And your over under on this one is 47. Of course, one of the big elements is the health and the status of Patrick Mahomes. Will certainly be limited, but there's buzz about will Mahomes be on the field. I am not a degenerate betting man like Ernest DJ Christian, but the smart money would be that Mahomes will be on the field. If you think Mahomes isn't playing in this game, you're out of your freaking mind. Let's be honest. At what percent healthy is he going to be is a whole different story, but I think he is 100% going to be on the field. But Matt, let's start with you. Cincy and Casey.
It's tough to really put much stock in Kansas City just because of the uncertainty around Patrick Mahomes. And I get that he is still a great quarterback, even on one leg, but I think that you're going to be facing a team that has more weapons to win a shootout if it comes to that in Cincinnati. So give me the over and give me the Bengals in this one.
All right, Kyle.
You know, I noticed that in that graphic that Patrick Mahomes is like doing kind of a scream. Is that because he stepped on his bad ankle? No, and listen, I make that joke to basically set up my point, and I've said it many places. I make the argument too that the Bengals have a better defense, but that's a separate question. It is Patrick Mahomes II. At the end of the day, I think that this is going to be a closer game anyway, right? I think it's going to come down to Joey Burr making one or two more big throws than Patrick Mahomes II in a situation to where, you know, maybe Patrick Mahomes II finds Travis Michael Kelce down the field. Yeah, I looked it up. You know, and he has him down the field, but he misses him in a way that he would normally hit the target because his foot is hurt. I'm looking for something that small that may decide this game. And who knows? Maybe the Bengals defense will take advantage and make this a blowout, in which case, you know, I see that Devin has the under here. That's obviously what you're predicting. I get that. That's not a bad prediction either. To Matt's point, this is why this is so damn hard to pick. What the bleep do you do? But I see a team with a potential team of destiny, an obvious chip on their shoulder, and a history of going on the road and handling business in the postseason from a dude who's one bad mamma jamma and is simply 2 games away from middle name status, right? So yeah, I got the Bengals here. But for my money, if you want to take the Bengals, if they're getting points, which I doubt, if you want to take the Bengals for the win here, cool. Do not bet the over-under on this game. That is a very difficult thing to ascertain.
Yeah.
All right, EJ.
Yeah, the over-under is actually the toughest of the two. Because to me, honestly, Mahomes healthy or not, obviously Mahomes healthy gives you a chance to win the game. But even if Mahomes 100% in this game, I'm still picking Cincinnati to win this game because those Bengals receivers are a nightmare for the Chiefs secondary.
Fair.
They're a nightmare. They're a better team. It's like last year. They're a better team all around. So Cincinnati, you know, the line opened at KC -2. Now it's Cincy -1. Was it one? You had 1.5. You said
Yeah, currently at 1.5.
Right, and some has going at 1, some at 2. Bengals win this game. They cover. The over/under is the bigger issue here. I'll go over for the sake of it. This stuff wouldn't bet it, obviously, like Kyle said. But no, Cincinnati was win this game regardless of Mahomes is healthy or not. This is a better team.
Yeah, you're not going to hear me say this a whole lot on this show, but I agree with EJ.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, if Mahomes is playing and healthy, I still have the Bengals.
Yeah.
But they again, there's all of these kind of unmeasured intangibles that right now just seem to be leaning in the Bengals' favor. This bulletin board material, this chip on their shoulder. They're playing with an edge and aggression that that I don't really see in any out of any of the teams that made the AFC playoffs at the very least. They're playing like a team possessed that does not want to be denied. And
one more thing, a guy who stepped up on Sunday against Buffalo that didn't get his flowers. Joe Mixon, 100 yards. They can mix it up. You pick a poison. Good luck.
Yeah.
They can mixing it up. They can keep mixing it up. There we go. Boom.
There it is. But yeah, it's the like I said, Mahomes is playing. I'm taking the Bengals, but this one has the potential to get ugly. I really do think that's. I mean, obviously taking the Bengals to cover. I'm going to take the over because I don't think you're going to see the Bengals let up. I think they are going 2-finger salute at the NFL and everybody who thinks they can be proved otherwise. And I don't think they slow down. I don't think they let up. I don't think they care. And I think you're going to hit a point. And again, it's with the health of Mahomes. He's going to be limited. I don't think he's going to be able to do the Mahomes things that give the Chiefs that edge that they normally have. And I think this crowd's going to be taken out of it quick, and the Bengals aren't going to let up. So yeah, Bengals I think the Bengals are gonna win what's gonna look to be alarmingly by a lot.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say this to get some more love from Mikey Byrne is commenting over and above the fact he's a giant homer. That permeates through the defense.
Homer.
Look at some of the guys that they have, right? Trey Hendrickson is a guy, I covered his Shrine game. He did not get the defensive MVP of the game. I voted for him, but he was overlooked. Eli Apple, EJ could tell you all about him as much as he loathes the Giants as a Cowboy fan. And how often that Eli Apple's been burned toast in other times, but he hears that all over the place. He had to answer questions about that at the Super Bowl last year. I was there for those Zooms, which I hope they're in person this year, but I digress. You don't think he's going to carry that underdog mentality into this game facing Patrick Mahomes II and company? And that's just two guys of a group that lives on, even though the fact that the new consensus is that Joey Burr is probably the number 2 quarterback in the league overall, they're still finding a way to make themselves underdogs. Zach Taylor is completely underappreciated like that. I'm not saying he's Brian Daboll good. Take it easy, EJ. But, he's
crap.
There's not enough talk about that, I think.
Yeah, that definitely just, talent up and down with that team, and they're going to be here. They're going to be here as long as they can do it salary cap wise.
Yeah.
So
what kind of world what kind of world we live in now where the Bengals now are not just a good team, they're actually a great team. Like,
and it happened quick.
One we have never seen before, right?
Yeah.
Like even Carson Palmer's Bengals with TJ Houshmandzadeh and Ocho Cinco, or Chad Johnson for you non-believers out there, in that receiver core with who the hell was the running back then? Rudy Johnson. There we go. Back when you had 1,000-yard backs on a regular basis, right? Like when you had that group and that defense before Vontaze Burfict became the dirtiest player in the NFL, that they were never this good, right? And not just because they didn't make the Super Bowl. Like the division was even harder.
Not even Boomer Esiason led fucking Bengals were this good.
They're
pretty good.
Right? Yeah,
Rudy Johnson, Cedric Benson. Which one do you want?
What a fucking homer!
Hey, I want credit for remembering Rudy Johnson, bitch.
Yeah, I'll give you credit on that one for sure.
Rudy.
I did forget.
There you go. There's your favorite movie, EJ.
He was nice.
Fuck off, man.
You brought it up.
Number one
pick. I did forget Cedric Benson because compared to Rudy Johnson, he was forgettable. I said it anyways. No, but yeah, that group was never anything like this. And you're talking about Esiason and company. I'm not going to go there because the comparisons are completely different. Mm-hmm. Boomer Esiason would not be a successful quarterback in this NFL.
You don't think so?
No, I don't.
Okay.
The conversations we've had about mobility and such.
Devin has Bengals in the under. Mike has
Homer.
The Bengals and the over as well. No surprise there from Mikey B. And let's be fair. We should expect no different out of Mike on that one. But we're running out of these, EJ. We're running out.
Aren't you getting sad?
We're gonna do it while we can.
I didn't say you MFers. This was a bad idea. Now I got Steve Hansen and EJ has a segment. Whatever.
And you danced to it, fucker. So what you told?
I got to do something to lighten this bitch up. Anyway.
All right. Power rankings. There's only 4 teams left, EJ, for the podcast listeners.
Still got it wrong.
Hey, it's all good. 4 Chiefs, 3 Eagles, 2 Niners, 1 Bengals. We're on the verge of having a Super Bowl 23 rematch.
Stand there in your wrongness and be wrong and get used to it.
Of course we're used to it. He has a damn T-shirt.
That's right.
TeePublic.com. I mean, to me, it's pretty simple. Like, I'll be honest with you. I almost, just for the sake of pissing off Kyle, was the 2A2B with Niners and Eagles.
But Jim wouldn't have allowed it.
I wouldn't have got given that. I gave it to you once this year.
So I'll say it: 2A2B Niners and Eagles. I'll just say it.
But you're still wrong.
KC, this is my segment. God damn it, my segment. The Bengals look like the best team right now of the 4 right now. It is due.
Yeah, Matt and I were ready to blow a gasket if you didn't have the Chiefs at 4.
Oh, I mean, it's
So you at least got that one
and
right.
for the record, even Mahomes not being healthy will still been in 4.
I don't get that, but I won't even open
Because I think those other 2 teams. No, I'm being serious. I think Philly and San Francisco are better team right now, better than Kansas City.
How
with a healthy Mahomes
segment do you put the Eagles worse than the Niners in your segment? How the hell does that nonsense work?
2A, 2B, buddy.
No.
How does that work?
You said 2A, 2B. You still have the Niners higher. You're
right.
still wrong, even with your trash.
I put the Eagles today. When I did the shit, I put the Niners.
Your power rankings.
Yeah, tomorrow morning I might do better and put the fucking Niners as the winner on Sunday. I told you it's ready, dude. See me at kickoff. I mean 2:55 p.m. I mean I have a winner for this fucking game.
Jim, I don't normally guilt trip you, but keep in mind you designed a T-shirt for him before you did me. I want you to remember that.
I know. But does it just come down to you've had the Niners above most of the year,
Oh wait, is it about trust?
Who do you trust?
I don't trust the Niners, but I mean, like I said, I mean, they were number 1 last week.
Well,
I'm not gonna knock them for 2 spots for a tough game with Dallas, who was clearly a good team.
So let's put some context on it. The Bengals didn't have their best game in a division game where physics get wacky, as we've said many times, and they needed a defensive tackle return to capitalize on a backup quarterback. You had a good defense for that week.
I told you I was less concerned about that because of the optics of that rivalry, that division.
That's how but that's how they jumped to 1. I get it, man. Like, I'm trying to defend you. Shut the fuck up.
Oh, nice. About fucking time, god damn it.
Shut up, bitch.
But your number he did it again. But your number 2 is still awful, Niner fan.
So Philly number 2?
Yeah.
I have Philly at 2. I have Cincy, Philly, San Fran, and Kansas City.
Again, 2A, 2B.
As a Cowboy fan, aren't you required to say that the Eagles are number 2?
Well.
I got him.
I see what you did. There. Yeah, no, they're the number 1 seed. They're the home team. They're the home seed. To me, it's more about the fact that like the Eagles erased the doubts or the questions that some people had in terms of health of Jalen Hurts. And when you're talking about a guy who's in the MVP discussion, he showed that he's healthy, and to me, again, I'm not happy about this. Okay, like I'm a beaten and broken man at this point. But to me, it's just it's the reality of the situation. The Eagles are and should be higher than the 49ers this week. Any other thoughts on it, gentlemen?
Just given the factors that you get, a lot of your ratings have been based on what you are going to look at next week. So, you had the Eagles low because of the question marks for Hurts. Those were answered. Now he's playing at home in Philly against the Niners, who just had an absolute slugfest with the Cowboys, whereas the Eagles were resting players by the end of the game.
Cruise control.
Let me be clear though. Don't look at it as a 2 and 3. It's close because again
it's close. It's 2 and 3.
No, when I'm no,
it's 2A and 2B.
I didn't do 2A 2B because he wouldn't allow me. He wouldn't allow it. That's why.
Right. That's bullshit.
Okay, I'm just letting you know. My point is when I did these rankings, late last night, I had San Fran winning against Philadelphia this week. I switched again this week. So tomorrow I might feel differently and put Philly at 2. So
yeah, we get you live in Florida. You're comfortable flip flopping. I get that. But
you didn't send these to me last night though.
But I did them last night, and I sleep on them and make sure I feel the same way.
But that still doesn't matter. You sent them to me today.
Well,
let me
defend Matt's point that he made very cogently that EJ walked all over with trying to defend 2A and 2B like a tool.
You wanted clarity, so I need clarity.
At this point, you shouldn't need to say it's close for number 2 and number 3 with the Final Four in the NFL. Like, that's implied at this juncture, right? Or if it is distant, you'll make that note during the segment. You don't need 2A and 2B.
I guess the word is definitive. It's not definitive.
Yes.
Casey's clear number 4. Clear number 4. And that's even with the healthy Mahomes.
No, I'm not opening that can. I'm not doing it because it's
That's
nothing
incorrect.
with Patrick LeVon Mahomes II healthy.
I think
Any other quarterback with middle name status on the list, you can't. It ain't.
But
there.
I like the other 3 teams on that list are better. Again, we said this in the podcast today. Better teams.
Here's the deal. If you, with a healthy Mahomes, if you want to make a case for the Chiefs at 4, I'll listen to the case. To declare that they are clearly the 4th,
definitive was the word.
Of these 4, yeah, I think they are.
With a healthy Mahomes, is 4.
with a healthy Mahomes, I'm not saying they're definitively 4. I may hear a case and agree with the fact that they may be the 4th best team right now.
I mean, if you want to ignore Chris Jones on the Chiefs defensive front, you go right ahead. The Jags made that mistake too.
The Jags,
right? But it's like, okay, but again, I'm willing to hear a case, and it's not that the Chiefs are bad. It's that other teams are better at this point. Like, I'll listen. Like I'm saying, I'll listen to an argument if you want to make the case. The problem I have would be the word definitive.
I think these 3 defenses are better than Kansas City's. Clearly, I mean, you can't argue that. Certainly the Niners, certainly the Eagles, and I would say the Bengals as well too. So there's one. The only clear advantage they have, and that's not even clear. I mean, 1 and 2 could be, is the quarterback. After quarterback,
Most important
Travis Kelce. Right. Well,
you mean?
But again, team.
Okay. Team is all great, but what you're not remembering is matchups. If Chris Jones swallows Brock Purdy or Jalen Hurts, nobody cares about the team. Joey Burr and the Bengals got crushed early because he couldn't connect with his receivers, who were still just as amazing now as they are earlier in the year. The problem is Joey Burr wasn't home. It didn't matter what team.
So let me ask you this then.
Period.
Chiefs,
point blank. End of story.
Chiefs,
By the
Niners.
way, this team also lost to Riptide Rush at one point. So we need to sell out on that? Like, no. Which is
fucking September when you were saying the appendectomy was still being said.
Don't make my point back to me. That doesn't make you any more correct. It only makes me more right? But that team performs better now that, listen, Joey Burr, I would not be surprised if Joey Burr earns middle name status and forces me to do a goddamn Google search while I'm there in Arizona. I get it. I'll probably do it in advance of the trip because I'm good at preparation. The punchline's this. The matchups, to me, when you get into this nitty gritty, are the difference. And I don't have a clear advantage on the defensive, especially in the offensive interior. Actually, the Eagles might have one because Jason Kelce is a bad mamma jamma at center. So there's that. But the Niners center isn't necessarily super great. He's obviously not bad. He's on a damn Final Four team and one of the best running games in the NIFL. I get it. Supporting Mr. Irrelevant and 2 other starting quarterbacks. But please tell me why Kyle Shanahan isn't a coach of the year candidate. Anyways.
Because Doug Peterson's the coach of the year?
Well, no, I said candidate. Right? You don't need to put the clown face on me. EJ's the tool.
Joseph Lee Burrow. There's your middle name for you.
I really wish you hadn't got Mikey Byrne all excited already.
Why is that?
Earn that shit.
He's there already. He went to fucking Super Bowl. We should
You
have
have to
given this
win,
shit last year.
EJ.
There's only and I'll tell you what, that's a good conversation for next week for when we simulcast on Wednesday because of certain schedule conflicts, right, Big Jim?
That is correct.
So
EJ, I get what you're saying. But Joseph Vincent Flacco is a Super Bowl champion. So don't use the Super Bowl to puff up your middle name argument.
Whoa. We would never. If you use Joe Flacco as an argument, he wasn't his best player on his fucking team. So no,
right? But you declared the middle name for Joe Burrow, and your defense was he's been to a Super Bowl.
You don't think it deserves a little name status? Hell, Lamar Jackson got that. He hasn't even
Hey, need something for next week. I already teased the fucking show.
There's your title, Joseph Lee Burrow.
I don't do the middle name thing, so I don't get.
That's a Kyle and me thing actually.
But yeah, Kyle, that's a good point. I did forget to bring that up earlier. There will be no huddle up next week. It's kind of this weird week anyway, with between the championship game and the Super Bowl preview. But yeah, at least myself, I don't know about anybody else on the panel, but we will be joining you on the Student of the Game Wednesday on the Huddle Up Podcast YouTube channel, as well as everywhere else. You'll hear Kyle.
Jim, it's
so pissed.
Student of the Game simulcast, baby.
I'm so pissed though.
The fans, we're combining our forces.
Jim, I'm so pissed though that you're doing this, because like we made through the entire year with no breaks, and then literally at the fucking end of the year, it's like week off.
Well,
it's not a week off. It's a simulcast. You son of a bitch. Stop it.
Get it right. But yeah, so there will be no actual huddle up next week.
It'll be a simulcast.
Maybe it'll end up on the podcast feed, but my people will talk to Kyle's people, and we'll figure those details out. Any other thoughts to the power rankings? We can only tell EJ he's wrong so many times on an episode. So let's go to this.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
All right, guarantees, gentlemen, for this upcoming weekend. EJ, we'll start with you.
I guarantee that at 2:59 p.m. on Sunday, I still don't know who's going to win this fucking game to the Eagles and the fucking Niners.
Ping!
I lock you that right now.
I believe that, actually.
Go Heat, bitch.
That's no.
By the way, credit to you, EJ Christian, for not complaining about Brandon Staley for the first time in this NFL.
The entire world did for me. I'm good.
That's true. Mine is going to be, because I'll leave it to the two that have their team still playing this weekend to get theirs in last. But mine is that it's the Eagles defense is going to force 2 or more turnovers, and that's going to be the difference in the NFC Championship. But really, for the first time, Brock Purdy is going to look extremely human in this one. So
that feel disgusting saying that, Jim?
What's that?
Does that feel disgusting saying that?
Dude, this whole thing's gross, okay? Just
with you, brother.
I'm dealing with it. No, you're not, because you're still laughing. I'm not laughing.
I hate them. So I can't do is laugh, dude. I hate the Eagles. My fucking boss went to the game yet on Saturday and was talking shit all week. He's an Eagles fan.
My team leader has been in our team video in different Eagles gear every day, and I'm sure that will continue through the remainder of this week.
And next.
Because he listens, so so I'm sure I will get reaction to that as well. But Kyle, what is your lock for this weekend?
You know, Jim, you called me a bitch twice on your show through the soundboard, and I loved every minute of it. And then you came out with this lock of yours with that bullshit, and now I'm actually insulted
3 times.
No, no, the third one was you, Panda. Anyways,
ignore that. What the fuck?
DJ,
shut up, bitch.
Oh, that's me.
That's 2 for me now.
Oh, hey, high five. No, listen. You know, I think it works for me because my name's not Mike Byrne. My lock is that the Bengals are winning.
Right.
Lock it up.
Easy enough. Matt, how about you?
I'm going to go into that game, and I'm going to say that Travis Kelce scores 2 touchdowns against the Bengals, but is not the top touchdown scorer of the game. As Jamar will have a 3-peat.
So Jamar,
like that.
When it comes to Jamar, the Chiefs won't be able to give chase. I hear you.
Let's go.
Ridiculous.
Oh, come on.
Let's see. Mike has Trey Hendrickson has multiple sacks, gives the Bengals the stops needed.
Can we do better than multiple, like 2, 3, 5?
To make it back to the superb owl. And we will.
The superb owl.
That was last year's title for the show, remember?
That will be this year's. That will be this year's as well, because I think there's some sort of weird. So 2.5.
I respect that, Mikey Burr.
I don't want to get in trouble with the NFL. So
but you're okay to get in trouble with the Audubon Society. Is that it?
the show 2 weeks from now will be the Superb Owl. What number is it? 56 or
I've actually lost track of this shit now.
what is the number this year?
57, right?
Yeah, 57. So it'll be
really? Damn.
It'll be Superb Owl 57.
That was a guess, dude.
Preview in 2 weeks. But all right, that's we're going to close it up for this week. Another fun one, gentlemen. Matt, plug away.
Yep, absolutely. And speaking of Owls, shout out to the Temple Owls taking down the number 1 seeded Houston.
What a win.
Yeah,
By the way,
Sunday night.
I don't host the number 1 team when I cover the UCF basketball tomorrow night, douches. No,
big win. Nice for a Philly team to finally get the win over a Houston team in a big game like that. So you can follow me across all platforms. It's at Teaching to the Choir. You can listen to me on Thursdays and Tuesdays on the 3CT podcast, once, maybe twice a year on the Earnestly Speaking podcast if his kids are dunking on him that night or choke holding him or whatever they have going on in recent times. And then starting in a few weeks here will be The Pitch, where I talk all things soccer and baseball, including Premier League, MLS, and MLB primarily.
I'm looking forward to that, Matt, actually, that podcast. Looking forward to
very good, very good.
Yeah, listen to me whine about West Ham being relegated next season.
EJ, go ahead.
Of course, Ernst Podcast across all podcast catchers. Just did a show with you, Kyle, today. Of course, check it out. Great episode as well. I have another one dropping tomorrow. My buddy Jordan Ruscarini, which you guys should be interested in that. Matt and Jim. He's also a big Notre Dame guy as well too. So we'll talk a little Notre Dame on there.
4th Notre Dame fan. That's all.
Shut the fuck up. And I got Rob Barnett also, Mindless Wrestling, coming on as well. That's dropping on Thursday if we record it tomorrow night. So that's where we'll preview all that good stuff. Other than that, that show, Take Your Wrestling every Thursday, of course. Other than that, EJ Christian 7 on Twitter. Guys, I mean, it's coming up to the end, man. I'm getting sad, and I'm fucking pissed there's no show next week. God darn it!
There is a show. It's the
no whole up. It's not whole up. It's not whole up though.
Yeah, it is.
I don't get a soundboard.
You don't?
There'll be a soundboard.
Jim's on the show. There'll be a soundboard. You hit me?
Oh, you saved me. Thank you.
Can you not be a?
I want to hear another fucking shut up, bitch.
I was waiting for it.
Shut up, bitch.
Over under 3.5 for me next week. It's your show for you too. So, way over. Let's go, motherfucker.
Hammer the over.
But a degenerate.
So yeah.
How do I compete with that?
Very good, Kyle.
Circus next week. Christ, yeah, and I'm going to be doing just that on the Huddle Up Podcast channel on YouTube. Look out for that. Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the gang. You can find me on Twitter at the SOTG. Find me on Instagram as the same, the SOTG. Check out my writings and my appearance with the Black and Gold Banneret. Well, I'll be wrapping up the number 3 Houston. No. I had to make that joke. Why? The number 3 Houston Cougars coming to town to battle the UCF Knights. It was a pretty close outing when they went to their building, but UCF has sustained some injuries. Will we see Darius Johnson in that game? Will Michael Dare be back? I'm thinking one of the two will be back, and hopefully it will be as close a game. Otherwise, well, might be a long Wednesday. But what do you mean Wednesday? Yeah, I'm pre-recording the show. I've already had Mikey Byrne of the Five for Fighting podcast on and recorded with him, and also Brian Paul. That's right, BP from A7BN Sports, Captain and Company morning show on oldschool101.com. So that was a fun time talking AFC and all that stuff. And I guarantee you, I got better analysis than any Homer could offer. That's why BP was on the show. Homer. So, no, and I make jokes, but BP had an excellent contribution all the way around, as well as Mikey Byrne. Listen, the breakdown was hot. I loved all of it because it was Mikey Byrne. It was a great time all the way around. Of course, check out my work as well with the 3-point conversion, who I have been on the 3-point conversion radio in Atlanta the past couple weeks. So check that out there in the pod if you wish to. There as well, over and above Arizona. That's right, the Super Bowl is coming, and I will be with the 3-point conversion team and A7BN Sports Captain Company Morning Show with my friend Captain Chris Hill on oldschool101.com. An honor, joy, and privilege, fellas. Look out for my work coming out. You'll see some stuff pop up on my socials as well surrounding the Orlando Guardians. That's right, the new XFL team, which will drop the week after the Super Bowl and their home opener on the 26th, if I remember correctly. So that should be fun all the way around. Until next time, gents, ladies and gents, class dismissed.
Good guy. So busy, Kyle. So busy.
That's how he does it, EJ.
Yeah.
But you can follow me at Big Jim Sports. Make sure you are following along with the show on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. All of it is at Huddle Up Podcast. You can get the merchandise over at tpublic.com. Hit the link tree in all of our social medias. That's the easiest way to stay connected. Subscribe on all podcast platforms. Rate and review where possible, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you enjoy the show, share it with somebody who you think will enjoy it as well. Just because the NFL is winding down, it doesn't mean we're going anywhere. We have a great off-season program with tons of great topics that we will dive into because we don't get the chance during the football season. So teams go into their off-season program, so do we. But do not miss a minute of it. So stay subscribed and spread the word. Until next week when we are simulcasting with the student of the game, or until later on, please stay safe, stay smart, and as always, go for the win.